Good morning, students. Welcome to Measure Integration live lectures. In this lecture, we'll see how we can define Lebesgue integral of a bounded function. Okay. So now, if we see last class, if phi is a simple function of this form, then how we are defined Lebesgue integral is we are defined as summation ei measure of ei's. Now the question is, if we take f is a bounded real valued function, okay, so suppose defined on E, then how we can define integration of f here. The idea is simple. We'll try to define integration of f in terms of integration of simple functions. That means, suppose if you take simple function psi and phi satisfying this condition, then you take all such simple functions psi and you find the integration, okay, psi of x dx. So this is x, okay, psi of x dx, and you find infimum of all such psi greater than or equal to f. On the other hand, similarly, you can find integration of phi of x dx and infimum of all phi less than or equal to f. So if these two are equal, then we will define that as integration of f as this value. Okay. Now question is when these two will be equal. So as a lemma, we'll show that if our f, a bounded real valued function, is measurable, then these two quantities are equal. So let f be bounded and defined on E, which is measure of E is fine. That means it is a measurable set with finite measure. Okay. Then this f is measurable if and only if the these two integrations, integration of phi of x dx infimum of phi less than or equal to f is equal to, okay, oh sorry, here you have to take supremum. Here this is not uh, this is supremum. I said it but I written, so this is supremum. Okay, so supremum of all phi less than or equal to f is same as infimum of integration of psi of x dx, where psi greater than or equal to f. Right, we'll see the proof and then we'll define Lebesgue integral. Okay, proof is that suppose f is measurable. Okay, and then we want to show that these two quantities are equal. The idea is show that their difference is equal to 0. Okay, that means you show that their difference is less than some value which is arbitrary, so you can take it how small it is possible. Right, now since f is as f is bounded is given, right, so there exists some m greater than 0 such that mod f of x is less than or equal to m. Right, that is same as saying that your f of x actually belongs to this interval, closed interval, and bounded minus m to m. Now we know that any interval minus m to m can be splitted into equal intervals of same length. Okay, so for any n greater than or equal to 1, this minus m comma m can be uh, contained in or can, instead of writing can be, is contained in the disjoint union of intervals, 2n intervals of length m by n. Okay, say how you can given by this minus m comma m is contained in union of say minus n to n. The intervals are of the form k minus 1 m by n to k m by n. So left hand side it is open and right hand side it is closed. Okay, fine. Then now if you take any x, right, because f of x belongs to here, so f of x is here. So if you draw the line, so if you draw a line here, then how this minus m comma m is these intervals look like here. This is k minus 1 m by n, right? Then that means if k, if you substitute minus n here, then this is first time is minus n minus 1 by m. The next one is minus n m by n, right? That is same as minus n by m is same as what? This is minus m, right? Then minus n plus 1 into m by n and so on. Okay, then the last one here, if you take k is equal to n, so this is n minus 1 m by n, then another one is n m upon m, which is m. Okay, right? So you have these intervals and so on, right? Okay, now we'll define for each k. So these are all k is equal to minus 1 to minus n to n. So for each k, define ek as x such that if our f of x belongs to k minus 1 m by n is less than f of x and less than or equal to km by n. Okay, then we can check that since f is measurable, since f is given to be measurable, this each ek is measurable, right? Because f is measurable, then f of x, all x such that f of x is less than alpha, okay, or x such that f of x is greater than alpha, they are all measurable sets. Okay, this you can write as intersection of two sets. One is f of x less than or equal to km by n, and intersection with f of x greater than k minus 1 into m by n. So each ek is measurable, right? Also, if x belongs to E, then f of x belongs to that minus m to m, which is contained in that, right? That union of these intervals, right? Union of k is from minus n to n, open k minus 1 m by n and km by n, right? Implies there exists, say, unique k, because they are all disjoint intervals, such that our f of x belongs to one of that intervals, right? Therefore, that means this f of x is k minus 1 m by n is strictly less than f of x is less than or equal to km by n, right? That means this x, because f of x belongs to here, by definition of this ek, x belongs to that particular ek, right? That shows that our e is actually union of ek's, right? Okay, and it is a disjoint union. So in particular, implies measure of E is nothing but this summation measure of EK, because it is disjoint union, right? Okay, fine. Now, on the other hand, using this range of f of x and using these intervals, we'll define now new simple functions which we were expecting. So define this phi psi n of x for every n greater than or equal to 1. Define this psi n of x as k times, so whatever, if you take this f of x, this upper values in that intervals, among all these intervals, uh, whenever f of x belongs to here, then take that upper value as psi n of x and lower value as phi n of x. Okay, that means you define this as k into m upon n if where f of x belongs to this in this interval. Okay, similarly, phi n of x as k minus 1 into m by n if this is true, right? Where for some k 0 plus or minus 1 plus or minus 2 up to plus or minus n. Okay, because f of x belongs to one of that interval for some k, so you define psi n of x and phi n of x like this, right? Then we can easily observe that they take only finitely many values, each phi n, each psi n, they take only finitely many, at most 2n values they will take, right? So then psi n and phi n are simple functions, okay, and they are also measurable, you can observe from here, right? Simple functions, okay. and have representation. How we can represent them? Psi n of x as summation k is equal to minus n to n, this k m by n, okay, chi e k, okay, of x, right? Because only at one k is equal to, when x belongs to this, when x belongs to any one of the, exactly one of the ek's, so at those values f of x belongs to here, so psi n of x is that value, and at that value it is 1, remaining all places it is 0, so you will get this, right? Similarly phi n of x as summation k is from minus n to n, k minus 1 m upon n chi e k of x, right? This implies, so they are simple functions and they have representation, so therefore integration of psi n of x dx is what? Summation k is from minus n to n k mn into measure of ek's, right? Similarly integration of phi n of x is equal to summation k from minus n to n k minus 1 m upon n into measure of ek, right? So this phi n and psi n are simple. Not only that, also observe that this phi n's, these values are k minus 1 into m by n, where f of x is strictly greater than that value. Therefore phi n of x is this, is less than f of x, and psi n of x is this one, so it is greater, less than or equal to f, right? So therefore what you have here is phi n of x is less than or equal to f of x, and f of x is less than or equal to psi n of x for all n greater than or equal to 1. So therefore psi n is a simple function which is bigger than f. Therefore if you take the integration, this implies if you take this integration of all psi of x, where infimum of psi bigger than or equal to f, because it is a greatest lower bound and this psi n of x is one such member, so if you take psi n of x dx, right, then what we get is, because it is a lower bound, we get this one. Is this clear? Right? Similarly, because it is a member of that set and it is greatest lower bound. Similarly, what we have here is, when you consider this phi n of x, this one, what, and you take, so you take simply this integration of phi n of x dx, then uh, among all such integration of phi of x dx, then if you take supremum of all phi less than or equal to f, because it is least upper bound and it is one of that element in that set, so you get this one, right? So these two, and if necessary we can write here as, okay, if necessary we can multiply by this minus, so what you get is minus supremum of phi less than or equal to f, integration of phi of x dx is less than or equal to minus phi n of x dx. So if you want, you can call it, this is 1, this is 2, right? And we'll try to get some another inequalities. What is that? Is for all simple functions phi and psi, such that suppose phi is less than or equal to f is less than or equal to psi, then what we have here is integration of phi, okay, is less than or equal to integration of psi, right? So if you take all such thing, then if you take the supremum of all integration of phi less than or equal to f is still less than or equal to integration of psi for all psi greater than or equal to f. So even if you take infimum of all psi greater than or equal to f, we have still this one, right? This implies the infimum, let me write that, okay, this implies infimum of psi greater than or equal to f minus supremum of phi phi less than or equal to f is greater than or equal to 0. So if you call it 3, then by if you see 1, 2 and 3, therefore by 1, 2 and 3, what we have here is 0 less than or equal to infimum of integration of psi greater than or equal to f minus supremum of phi less than or equal to f is less than or equal to, because from here infimum is less than or equal to integration of psi n of x. Okay, so here you will have psi n of x dx minus integration of phi n of x dx. But those values we have here, these are the values, so therefore it is equal to summation k is equal to minus n to n. So this value is summation k is from minus n to n. What we have here is psi n, which is km upon n, another one is k minus 1 m upon n into measure of, you can check here, measure of ek, right? So this is measure of ek, but this is same as km will get cancelled, so summation k is equal to minus n to n m upon n measure of ek, and m upon n will come outside, and this is same as m upon n into measure of e, right? So therefore right hand side whatever you have, that m and measure of e are finite values and n is arbitrary, right? So as n is arbitrary, so by taking n sufficiently large, what we get is the right hand side also we can make it 0. So what we get here is infimum of integration of psi greater than or equal to f is equal to supremum of integration of phi less than or equal to f. Okay, fine. That shows the first part. Now we'll prove the converse part. So conversely, suppose these two values are equal. Infimum of integration of psi greater than or equal to f is equal to supremum of integration of phi less than or equal to f, say call it equal to some alpha. Then what we know is that infimum means it is greatest lower bound. If this is equal to alpha, so if you add even any plus positive quantity to this, then it is not a lower bound. Similarly, if you subtract something, then it is not a upper bound, and so on, right? So therefore for any n greater than or equal to 1, what we get here is there exists psi n and phi n, okay, simple functions such that, so when you add something alpha plus something, okay, then it is not a lower bound. That means the integration of the psi of n is n greater than, okay, alpha plus 1 by 2n, sorry, it is less than, right? Why? Because alpha minus sorry, this is less than, because alpha plus if you add something, it is not a lower bound. That means there is some element which is left side this, and integration of phi of n is greater than alpha minus 1 by 2n, right? So if you simplify this, what you get is integration of psi of n minus integration of phi of n is less than 1 by 2n plus 1 by 2n, so you get 1 by n. So what we have observed here is that if we have this quantity equal, then for any n we have integration of psi of n minus integration of phi of n is less than 1 by n. You can make it this as star, right? Somewhere we will use this. Okay, now what we want to do next is for all these phi n's and psi n, for every n we'll write, so let phi star is nothing but supremum of this phi of n's, okay, and psi star as infimum of this psi of n, right? Then we can observe that this phi n's, because phi n's, whatever phi n we are taking here, so here psi n is greater than or equal to f and phi n is less than or equal to f. So each psi n is greater than or equal to f, so infimum of this, so this implies you get that phi n, because phi n is less than or equal to f, right, implies this supremum of so here implies what we get here is supremum of phi of n is also less than or equal to f. This implies phi star is less than or equal to f. Similarly, here what you will get is f is less than or equal to psi star. So therefore phi star is less than or equal to f is less than or equal to psi star. And also we can observe that this phi n and psi n are simple functions. Since phi n and psi n are simple, they are measurable, right? They are measurable, right? This implies phi star, which is supremum of phi of n, and psi star, which is infimum of psi of n, are also measurable, right? So they are also measurable sets. Okay, so now the idea is we'll show that this phi star is equal to psi star equal to f almost everywhere. So we'll claim that, because our idea is to show that f is measurable, so we show that phi star is equal to f, which is equal to psi star almost everywhere, is sufficient, because the result which we have proved is if f is equal to g almost everywhere, and if suppose f is measurable, then g is also measurable. These two are already, we know they are measurable. So if f is equal to almost everywhere, then we are done, right? So for this we'll uh, show that if they are not equal, phi star and psi star, then that measure of that set is 0, right? So define we'll define some sets delta, which is equal to x, such that phi star of, okay, phi star of x is strictly less than psi star of x. Okay, then we will show that measure of this delta is 0, so therefore everywhere they are equal. Okay, almost equal. Now you also define delta v for any given v x, such that phi star v is any real number, phi star of x is less than psi star of x minus 1 by v. Similarly, for given any v and n is a natural number, define this in terms of phi n of x is less than psi n of x, okay, psi n of x minus 1 by v. We'll see what are the relation between these three and how we'll get measure of delta is 0. So we'll show that if we take let x belongs to delta, okay, then this phi star of x is less than psi star of x, right? This implies psi star of x minus phi star of x is greater than 0, right? So therefore by Archimedean property, there exists a natural number n, okay, such that this psi star of x minus phi star of x is greater than 1 by n, right? This implies psi star of x minus phi star of x is greater than 1 by n, which is greater than or equal to 1 by v for all v greater than or equal to n. So if you take any real number greater than or equal to n, then this is true. That shows that x belongs to this delta v, where v is some real greater than n. So if you take x is in delta, then x is in delta v for some v. This shows that our delta is contained in union of delta v, right? But this is contained in delta, because delta v is always contained in delta. That means delta is equal to union of this delta v's, right? Okay. So if we can show that measure of delta v is 0, then measure of delta is 0, right? How we will show that? That we will show using delta vn, right? So let's see x belongs to delta v. Then again what we have is this phi star of x minus psi star of x is less than, so phi star of x is less than psi star of x minus 1 by v, right? This implies if I bring that 1 by v this side, is same as psi star of x minus phi star of x, this is psi star of x minus phi star of x. We'll try to bring it n inside. That means how we'll bring, because using the definition of psi star and phi star. Since psi star of x is infimum of this all psi n of x, right? This implies psi star of x is less than psi n of x for all n greater than or equal to 1. Similarly, this phi, okay, because phi star of x is supremum, so therefore what you will get is phi n of x is less than phi star of x for all n greater than or equal to 1. So this therefore 1 by v is less than psi star of x minus, that means psi n of x minus phi n of x, right? This is true for all n greater than or equal to 1. Then using this, we'll show that the measure of, so our small claim is that measure of mm, sorry, from here what we can observe here is that this implies your phi n of x is less than psi n of x minus 1 by v for all n greater than or equal to 1. This implies x belongs to delta v n for every n greater than or equal to 1. So therefore delta v is contained in delta vn for every n greater than or equal to 1. Now we show that measure of this value. Okay, so now our claim is, our subclaim is that measure of this delta vn is less than v upon n. Okay, suppose not, suppose not, that is measure of delta vn is greater than or equal to v by n, then using this one, okay, using this, what you can observe is that integration of psi of n minus phi of n, psi of n minus phi of n over this set delta vn is, because the psi of n minus phi of n is greater than 1 by v, so this is greater than 1 by v over this set. Okay, but this is same as, because it is constant, so 1 by v times measure of delta vn, right? So if measure of delta vn is greater than or equal to v by n, so what you get here is greater than 1 by n. So integration of psi minus integration of phi, psi n minus phi n, what we are getting is this 1 by n. But if you go remember our that star here, that value is always 1 by n, so which is a contradiction, which is a contradiction, right? So therefore contradiction to star, whatever we have, right? This implies our claim has to be true. So therefore measure of delta v comma n should be less than v by n, right? Now here as n we can take sufficiently large, so this is true for all n greater than or equal to 1, right? So by, as n is arbitrary, as n tending to infinity, what we get is that this has to be equal to 0, right? So instead of as n tending to infinity, but now if you see delta v, okay, so therefore measure of delta v is less than or equal to measure of delta vn for all n greater than or equal to 1, and as n tending to infinity this value, right hand side value is 0. This implies measure of delta v is equal to 0. Okay, right? Therefore measure of delta, which is equal to summation measure of delta v, is also 0, right? So therefore measure of delta is 0. What is delta? X says that phi star of x is less than psi star of x is 0. This implies, this implies this phi star of x is equal to psi star of x, okay, which is equal to f almost everywhere, right? Now since this phi star, you can write here x, okay, since phi star or psi star both are measurable, we get f is measurable, right? We get f is also measurable. Okay, so we proved that whenever those two integrals are equal, then this f is measurable and vice versa. Now we are ready to define, right? As our intuition, the starting how we started, that if we can approximate simple functions from left and right, then if their integrals are equal, then we expect that the integration of f should be equal to that, right? So that we will define as the Lebesgue integral. So definition, Lebesgue integral of a bounded function. Okay, so if f is bounded, so f, let f be a bounded and defined on E with measure of E is finite. Okay, then integral of f of x dx. Okay, we'll define this as, say, you can, over E is infimum of integration of all psi of x dx, where psi is bigger than or equal to f. This is the definition we will define as Lebesgue integral of a bounded function. Okay, you can, by previous result, so remember this is a bounded measurable function, then only we can talk about integral. Okay, so as a remark, we can easily see that since f is measurable, this is also f of x dx over E can also defined as supremum of all such phi of x, integral of phi of x, where phi less than or equal to f. So no matter whether we take f and take all simple functions greater than or equal to f, find their integration and take the infimum, or you take all simple functions less than or equal to f and take the integration, then take the supremum. Both are same. So in next class we'll discuss some properties of this Lebesgue integral of bounded function, and we'll define what is meant by how we can define Lebesgue integral of a non-negative function. Okay, we'll stop here.